Welcome to Milestone 4, where we're going to review how to prospect multiple brand licensors. The first recommendation is to stay in your lane. In other words, your business, your revenue comes from select customers, comes from a certain channel of distribution, and you need to respect that. And you need to be able to license a brand from a manufacturer that's going to bring that credibility and sales in the eyes of your current buyers. So now let's walk through the actual act of prospecting a licensor. Perhaps this will begin at a licensing expo. So you've got a lot of options when you're walking in through those doors. Where do you go from here? Well, you're going to have a plan, right? So with your plan already in place, because you've prospected before the show, you know exactly which trade show booths you're going to hit. So now you arrive at that first trade show booth, and this becomes the first barrier in terms of the conversation to get with a decision maker. So barrier number one is the Q&A that you're going to have to deal with the booth host, if that booth host is an actual employee of the licensor and not a booth model. Then, if you make it past that first barrier, you'll probably come into contact with the second barrier, which is a sales team member. You're going to have to go through a similar, probably more in-depth version of the first conversation you had with the booth host, now with a sales team member. And the entire purpose of having that conversation is to lead you with a sit down with the actual decision maker. The decision maker that will be the key person in the entire process for you. Now, to get you better prepared for this moment and this conversation, I'll be asking you a series of questions in which your answers will fall into the strengths of your business, weaknesses of your business, opportunities for your business, or threats to your business. The brand licensor is going to want to see this, and this will be very useful. So let's get started. Question number one that a brand owner will ask you is, who are your customers? So you need to be ready to provide as much information about your target demographic as possible based on your current target demographic in your everyday business today. Question number two is, what are you looking for in a new property or trademark? Do you have specific properties in a particular category or audience group in mind? So they want to know, where do you want to take our properties, into what type of verticals, so that they can understand where the new incremental sales will come from. Which other properties do you already license? What success have you had in particular? Well, if you've licensed a brand, you'll be able to answer this question. If you have not, then be honest and just say that you have never licensed a brand. Question 4. Which retail and or distribution partners do you already do business with? My recommendation to you is to classify it as far as different verticals. So you can classify it by saying, in mass, I deal with Target and with Walmart. In sporting goods, we deal with Academy and Dick's Sporting Goods. And classify it in verticals. It'll show that you are looking at things from a macro perspective. Question 5, what kind of marketing support will you execute if you license our property? Basically, they want to know, are you going to skimpy down and not do much for us in terms of all of the marketing opportunities we have, or are you going to get a trade show booth at a major show and step up to the plate and spend the dollars that we expect you to spend and that you're going to have to spend in the contract? Next is questions the brand owner will ask behind your back. Number 1, is your company reputable in your vertical? Number 2, what do current customers say online about your company? Number 3, what is your company's reputation in the marketplace? Number 4, how well managed is your company and who is the leader? 5, how eager are you to secure the license? Because you never want to be overly eager. 6, how collaborative do you seem? 7, what are your estimated sale forecasts for the portfolio, and are they achievable? Are they realistic? Now, the questions that you need to be asking the brand owner is, what is a content marketing strategy for the brand, for the parent brand. In other words, is the brand going to be doing national ads on television during fourth quarter? Will it be visible during Black Friday? At the end of the day, brands have to invest in themselves and make sure that they are out and visible in the public eye. Number 2 is, what is unique about this property and how will it compete with and complement the brands I already sell? So if you sell your own portfolio of brands, then you need to figure out how this is going to fit, and you need to talk to the brand owner about it so that they can kind of sell you on why you should be licensing their brand. Number 3, who are the brand's primary consumer groups and how did you identify this target demographic? Essentially, you want to understand how they're identifying their demographic, because that demographic will be your demographic if you're licensing their brand. So as much as you can align yourself from their marketing perspective, it will be more strengthful for you. 4, what are the cross-category opportunities for this property? This is a critical question because at the end of the day, the reason why you're licensing the brand is to bring a new portfolio to life under that brand. Therefore, you need to understand from their perspective where they see those cross-category opportunities because it is their brand. 5, what type of marketing support can we expect if we license this property? Again, this kind of goes back to question number 1, is that brand licensor needs to have their own marketing budget because you're leaning on them as far as the brand equity to sell your product, and as the parent company, they need to be out there pushing their own brand. Now, the 5 due diligence points that you need to investigate on a brand licensor once you've decided, hey, I've narrowed this down to a couple. Number 1 is understand their company size, their market share in the category, how have they dealt with previous licensees, are there any horror stories, and any type of financials, especially if they're publicly traded, you want to review that. Number 2 is you need to identify that licensor's competition, because at the end of the day, whoever you're signing up as that brand that you're going to be licensing out, well, guess what? All that competition is going to be now looking at you saying, okay, and you need to know who they are, because they're not going to be your friends. They're going to try to take you out, and you're going to try to take them out. Number 3 is you need to find the truth about the brand licensor that you're possibly going to collaborate with. So use a D&B report, use Hoover's, use the investigative financial tools that exist, and don't just sit there and assume that just because they have a big name, they have a big brand, that their financials are okay. Number 4, you need to conduct store walks. And if they tell you, yeah, we're at Home Depot and Lowe's, then you need to go do a store walk and see where they're at, how many SKUs they have. Is it an in-and-out promotion, or are they actually in the store? Verify what they tell you, because at the end of the day, those planograms and the different price point levels that they play out will affect your brand equity because it is their brand and you're using it. Finally, this is the easiest one. Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone and call the brand licensor's customer service line. Act like a customer. And see, number 1, do they answer the phone? If so, is it within a minute or 2, or did you have to wait 10, 15 minutes? Because really, in this day and age, all it takes is one customer to blast their negative feelings about a company through social media, and there's an entire domino effect that can follow. So if you, being an unsuspecting customer, just pick up the phone, call their customer service line, and as long as they answer, that's the only thing you're really checking for. Well, thank you very much for your time, and look forward to seeing you in Milestone 5.